Hi, my name is Carina and welcome to the Carina Chronicles. Today I'm going to compare the 7 husbands of Evelyn Hugo and the 7.5 deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, because everyone gets them confused and I'm gonna tell you if that makes any sense, except for the title, of course. This is a funny video, don't worry, I'm not really serious because they're completely different genres. So, by request, but also because I already wanted to do it myself, I'm going to compare these two books. The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo and the 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. These books were published around the same time. And this book is actually called the 7.5 Deaths because they weren't allowed to call it the 7 Deaths because people would get these books confused. Which is kind of funny to me, because this one is like a contemporary novel. It's also classified as historical fiction, which I don't really agree with, but you get the vibes. And this is a mystery thriller with a sci-fi touch. So it's completely different, but I thought it would be fun to compare the Evelyns to each other. Because I love both books very much, I just thought I would give them some more attention. This book video is very spoiler filled, so if you haven't read them, don't watch this video. It's actually, well, you can, but you also, I don't know. It's up to you, but it is spoiler filled. I'm going to put spoilers on the screen so you can skip those. And of course I would like you to watch this, but watch at your own risk. There are spoilers. I will put spoiler on the screen when there is a spoiler, but it will be spoiler filled. So I'm going to start with the 8 things that I think the Evelyns have in common, and then I'm going to name the things that I think they are very different in, and the books are as well. So we're starting with the look of Evelyn. So Evelyn Hugo looks like this, and Evelyn Hardcastle isn't really described that precise, but this can be my fantasy, but I believe something green was called in here as well. At least the way she is described, she looks exactly like this. So in my head she did. I read this one first, and then the Evelyn Hardcastle one was just this Evelyn, but then in another story. I literally wanted to put on this dress for this video. Because I thought it was really fitting, and then I felt awkward. So then I wanted to make a thumbnail with this, like so, just laying over me, and it really didn't work out. So you're just dealing with me not wearing the green dress that the Evelyns are wearing in my head. But they do look similar, in my head at least. I don't know if others agree. Then something they both have to deal with is the prejudice that is against them. So both are dealing with what people think of them and what society wants them to be, and they both break out of that. They do that in a very different way, but they both try to break out of that without ruining their reputation, because reputation is just important for them. For Evelyn Hugo, it's important because she is a movie star, and if your reputation is down the toilet, you can say bye to all the movies. You got cancelled and there is nothing you can do about it. So she's trying to get her reputation not destroyed and has to deal with the things that she finds important but other people find weird. This is a bit fake, but I am talking about, well, she is dating 7, she's having 7 husbands in here, so that causes some controversy. But it's her way to hide who she really is, because she thinks she would be cancelled if everything comes out. And Evelyn Hardcastle, well, she is also hiding because of the prejudices against her. She was sent away and is now coming back for a party to the house. And spoiler, big spoiler, I will put it on the screen. Evelyn Hardcastle is not Evelyn Hardcastle. Like, she switched places with another person. So she also hides against what society thinks of her. End of spoiler. Then the third part is their wealth. They're both very wealthy, living in big houses. The one is a big famous movie star with a lot of money. The other one is just from a very rich family where they have like this big dining parties and this extreme big land where they can like literally get lost in their own forest and stuff. So they're wealthy, both of them, which is why I also feel like they would look kind of the same, like with the pearls and just very neat and, well, you get what I mean. And something they have in common is the POV of the story, because they are definitely what the whole story goes about, but they are both not the person telling the story. And it's not like third perspective that we are saying she does this or she does that. No, we're literally following other people. So in the 7 husbands of Evelyn Hugo, I keep really finding this very difficult to say this right, but okay. In the 7 husbands of Evelyn Hugo, we follow the person that is interviewing her. So she is a famous movie star and there's this girl who wants to interview her for this magazine or something. And we follow the interview person and Evelyn Hugo is telling her story to them. In Evelyn Hardcastle, we follow a detective that tries to figure out the murder of Evelyn Hardcastle. So this is like a time loop thing. This book consists of a time loop where at the end of the day Evelyn Hardcastle gets murdered and the detective needs to find out who is going to murder her to prevent it. And we follow this detective. So although the story develops all around her, she's not actually talking. We're not in her head. And she's even not that much present in the story. So they do have that in common. Like, they are the most important thing in the story, but we're not following them. Then we have another 4 things that they have in common, but the next 2 are big spoilers, so I will put spoiler on the screen and we'll say them. So already mentioning them will be a spoiler, so don't watch if you don't want it. So the first one is the connection to the main character. So both, you could have expected that, but it is not clear. In the 7 husbands of Evelyn Hugo, we find out that the reason that she allows this person to interview her is because she has actually a connection and she was partly responsible for the death of the father. I don't really remember, but I think the father of the person that is interviewing her. And that's why she feels like she needs to do something back and she allows this person to interview her. Actually, she asks her even to interview her, I guess. Well, it's been a while since I read 7 Husbands. So we find that out in the end and it's one of the big plot twists. And in the end of the 7.5 deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, we also find out what their relationship is. I have to admit, it's not really to Evelyn, it's to another like big character in the book, Anna, so it's not really that, but it feels the same, because the ending of the book, a big plot twist, who is actually who and why they are connected. So that does feel the same. That saying, the second point is kind of almost the same. In the end, we find out these people are not who they said they were. In Evelyn Hardcastle, it's very clear because Evelyn Hardcastle is not Evelyn Hardcastle. She switched with her maid. But in Evelyn Hugo, it's also because we find out that she actually is bisexual, I think, but her most important relationship was with a woman, and she's kind of covering that up with all her husbands. So she's really not who the media thinks she is. And those, they have really in common, because we as a reader didn't really know who they were until they actually tell us. So those are two things they have in common. They're also, this is spoiler free again, both really independent and also for their time more independent than you might expect. Like, to the outside world, people see them as kind, wealthy, a little bit of a distant woman, but they have everything under control. They're really, really doing something with their lives, and they're really independent. And well, it's nice to read about such powerful women. And something that the books have in common, which you can kind of expect with these titles, is that you have 7 kind of short stories. Because in both stories, we try to figure out who we're actually dealing with by 7 different anecdotes. So in the 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, we find out who this amazing movie star is by telling how she met her husband and how they got married and why she married them, because most of the times it was not because of love, and what happened around her and with the movies around that time. And in the end, we find out, after we've had all these 7 husbands, who she actually is. In the 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, we do the same. The person that is investigating this murder is waking up in a different body from a different witness of this murder every day, and does this for 7 days to find out who is murdered. So we actually get the perspective of another person every time, until we find out who Evelyn Hardcastle is and who murdered her. So yeah, that is what they have in common. But now the things that they do not have in common. So there are 4 huge different things, in my opinion, between these books. The first one is good and evil. I think after these books we can conclude that Evelyn Hugo was a good person that did something bad in her life, something evil, but she's a good person overall. Evelyn Hardcastle is not a good person. She is very evil. This is a spoiler, by the way. I will put spoiler on the screen again, but she is not a good person. So that is a big difference. The second difference that I have is something that isn't a spoiler, being that Evelyn Hugo is a far more in-depth character, which made me give this book 5 stars and Evelyn Hardcastle only 4, because my enjoyment was kind of the same. But if I look objectively to these stories, Evelyn Hardcastle was very flat. A lot of things came out of nowhere and we didn't actually know who we were dealing with, also not after the story. So Evelyn Hugo is just a far more in-depth character that you can really relate to and see the good and evil in. Something that's also very different is the genre, obviously. I already told you so, but one is an historical fiction contemporary novel. The other one is a mystery thriller with science fiction elements. So, well, that's just completely different. But they both were very enjoyable, don't get me wrong. You should read both of them. Even if one of those is not per se your genre, they are incredible. These books are incredible. And then the last thing I think they are not equal in is the satisfyingness of the story. Like, I would say everything is clear after the book in both of them. We know why things happen. So in that way they are both very satisfying. But with Evelyn Hugo, you have a clear end. It makes sense. Like, Evelyn Hugo told everything people needed to know about her before she died, and everything became transparent. In Evelyn Hardcastle, every piece falls into place, and it is super satisfying to read the ending. But we're talking about the character, and because Evelyn Hardcastle is such a character that lacks development, it's not that satisfying because you still have a lot of questions about her. And the book should be about her. Like, we get a lot of answers about everything around her, but the actual story about Evelyn Hardcastle is not as satisfying, which is why the difference in rating, and also for me a big difference between the books. So that was actually it. So I know this is kind of a weird video, but I just wanted to recommend both books to you. I hope you got through this video without being spoiled, and if you read them both, please let me know if you agree with my observations about these books. If you like this video, please leave a like, and if you subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell, you will be notified whenever I post a new video. I hope you'll have a lovely day filled with books, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye! I'd really recommend you to read both of these books. They stayed with me for a long time, left a very good impression, and well, I just got to love the Evelyns.